So yeah, thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity. It's about 8:30 in the morning in Montreal, so if I sound a little bit like I just woke up, it's probably because I just did. Introduction. Thank you very much for that part. Basically, I work with a team of very creative and very youthful people in ICAO to try and imagine and then also uh, tell the story of what the future of aviation might be like. So I will start my presentation now, and if this works, then you should see the right screen. I'm also going to share the sound. Okay, so hopefully you see the presentation and not the notes. um, so if that's the case, then so in ICAO, basically we have a lot of functions. Our core function is bureaucratic and it's very necessary, of course, which is to try and harmonize the different policies and regulations on aviation across the globe so that everything really has a bigger outreach and is also more efficient, safer, secure, more environmentally friendly. And within uh, that horizon, if you will, we of course need to stay ahead of the curve of whatever aviation is going to do next, which is surprisingly difficult to predict. There are many things that were thought of in the past that never actually happened. But recently we have this great influx of innovation in aviation. And so now we need to open up the windows and make sure that anybody within the ICAO community and the aviation regulatory community, the aviation community really is able to see what other people are doing that's going to be part of the future of aviation. So we have a series of products, and how this relates to the maker community is that you have a lot of good ideas, a lot of good technology, a lot of good processes, and then when you have that, you might want to look at some of these things we're doing, and then to borrow from those to see how you might tell the story of how your innovation, the thing you made helps people all over the world. As a very basic first step, we have a book. We have a catalog, and there anyone can open up a page and see, oh, this is something that someone's been designing. It tells a very short headline type story of the product. So you might see that somebody is trying to create a new way of using drones to respond to emergencies or to help with flood control, things like that. So it's really a catalog. Catalogs are very good way to fill the space in people's lives when they might be waiting for something else. I think we all have this experience when we go to the doctor's office, that we read a lot of information that's on the table. So if you have a product out there or you have an idea and you're trying to communicate it, one way is to have that kind of page in a book. If you're developing something that's aviation related, then of course we are very keen to hear from you and see how we could include you in our book. So, of course, books are great, but they're two-dimensional. And what many of you are doing is more than two dimensions, right? It's three. And so we need to help you and help the community use the tools you're already using to repurpose them the for being able to display it in other simulations, other interactive, let's say, design and storytelling modes. Sorry, I'm a little bit stuttering here because can you hear me okay? My computer fan just went on, and I just want to make sure that it doesn't affect the audio.
I think you're cutting off a little bit, but
Okay, sorry. Let me just Sorry.
Hello?
That's better.
Sorry about that.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so back to the groove. Um, so yeah, so a lot of your the makers and designers out there already have 3D renderings of their ideas, and we need to find a way that you can showcase these ideas to the community that's going to benefit from what you're doing. So once we have these 3D renderings, then we can start placing them in what you see on the top and the bottom here are ways to tell the story. I think the term use case is probably the more technical term, but if someone needs to be excited about how the thing you made is going to help them in their lives, then a story is a great way to communicate. For one thing, movies and comic books, they generally are very easy to understand without necessarily knowing the language that they're written in or the language that's being used to tell that story. So if you have an idea, you can write the use case as a 2 or 3 page story panel. It could be a comic book is probably a very effective way. What you see on the bottom there are 5 stories, or four stories that we put in comic books. One of them is called Tsunami, and it really is to imagine how AI and the future of aviation and a lot of things that are coming online can be used to better detect and respond to disasters. And you'll see also in the middle movie pane, that's actually the movie of that story of that comic book. So it's animating the same story. Now, the movie and the storybooks are very good, but they're not interactive. So as a lot of your community already knows, there are ways to create virtual reality interactive uh, environments where people can really decide for themselves what they want to find out about your idea, about your product. And so on the top, you see these movies, which are kind of, well, the top left one is it's dynamic, but basically the story itself is being fixed because the user can look around in a 3D environment, but they're being taken through on a rail through a museum. And then all the other ones you can see on the top right, there is a simulation basically of someone sitting in an electric aircraft and flying around. The flight profile there is not controlled by the user. And then you see also that on the bottom we have these virtual reality, these 3D online environments where people can check in. The technology used a lot of them are accessible. I was going to say open. I think some of these are open, but we use Unreal for a lot of these things. And what that does is it opens up the possibility that if somebody designs a story somewhere this way, then other people across the internet can probably easily, well, they can definitely download and install and view this on their local PCs. But we're hoping one day that we actually have an online community where people can log into these virtual worlds and have their own avatars, transport their 3D concepts into these environments, and then allow for interaction with these things uh, in these 3D environments. So just a quick movie here. This is going to take about 5 minutes, but as you watch this, think of how you might use some of what you see here to take your idea not to the next technical level, but to the next awareness level. Get people to pay attention to the story you want to tell because you are developing something that probably is going to solve someone's problem in the world, and they just need to know that you have this solution. So I'll just hit the play button here. And So that was a movie that was put together using all these concepts. And I think what I want the community to understand here is that if you have a concept that fits into that screen, it's the technology to do that and to showcase your innovation is there. So you can have that 3D rendering. It can be put in this Unreal Engine um, environment, and then as long as we know the profile, as long as we know what the story is behind that product, we can integrate it into this online showcase. So we have a few things here just to give a little bit of that flavor. So in that movie, you saw a couple of scenes, and here we have a few more that kind of show what other storyboards might be like. Sorry, I just probably put these on mute while I look at my other screen. Okay, so if you have these storylines, then you'll see here that we have these different ways to tell, how that product helps. So I won't let this run too much, but basically, this is things that anyone who is already in the maker community probably knows how to do this or enough to do it, but is more importantly not afraid to learn how to do it. And a lot of this is open source and affordable. So with that, I think if there are any questions, we could take them now. I think one of the questions was, how do you get connected? So we'll definitely share the link, but basically you see it in the screen too. You can always send an email to innovation@icao.int or to mrico@icao.int. He is the primary creative engine behind a lot of these things. He's the innovation consultant who works with us and also an industrial designer. He's also on this call, so maybe he can also answer some questions. So thank you very much, and we're open to questions.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Yuri. So I encourage all of you, if you want to write your questions on the chat box, or if you want to open your video and ask our presenter the questions, welcome you. In the meantime, I'm just wondering, Yuri, what are the major challenges or challenges that have become the major lessons during this journey, doing this open platform for the community?
I think I wouldn't call them challenges. I think what we need to do as a community is to learn from each other and to improve based on what other people have done with the information and the materials we provide. And so I wouldn't call it a challenge because I don't wake up with a headache thinking about it. But for sure, I think everything that we do, we need to provide in an open way to everybody else in the community who are going to take it and make it better and give it back to the community, and then we might pick it up from there and do it. So if we have a concept for an aircraft that somebody thinks of in one corner of the world, and they provide a 3D rendering of it, and they provide some parameters about, this thing is supposed to help fly from the farm to the field and check for any, let's say, snakes in the area. If they have an idea like that, and then somebody else in the other part of the world picks it up and designs the sensors for it, and then provides that, and we're just kind of providing the platform for people to share this and to do this. In the software environment, they've been doing this for a long time with open source things and sharing source code, GitHub, all of these things. And this that works nicely, I think, for software. We need something that works for things that are actual objects, but without them having to build it and ship it somewhere, right? So we're providing that, but it's much more fun than it is challenging. So that's why.
Well, that's a great response. We don't see challenges here. We see doors that are open for new opportunities and to join the community as well, just to strengthen more. There are more strengths than challenges of all this process. So I see our audience is asking for the URL information on the chat box. If you will be able to share it with them, that will be great.
So we do have some URLs, but they're a little bit
Oh, the
complicated because it's in
information
the.
that you were showing us at the end, probably. It's
Yes. So let me put the email address. It's better to stay in touch through email right now because this is still in development.
okay.
So it's innovation at ICAO.int, and then mrico at ICAO.int. And Martin is on the call, so if he, so it's better to stay connected by email. And then we will in October be launching something that is then where people can pretty much go to a website and log in. We have a website on Future of Aviation where some of this thing is also showcased, but it's just undergoing a little renovation right now. So it's better to get a link once it's ready. Having said that, when it comes to doing this sort of thing, then anybody, of course, can do it, right? So you don't necessarily have to use our system because it's based on things that are freely available or at least affordable. You can download and learn how to, use the design software. You can download and learn how to use 3D rendering software, and whether it's Unreal Engine or another platform that's provided by the community to do this stuff. It's we encourage people to do that, even if they don't join our virtual world.
That's good. So, well, we have 2 minutes left. If anyone in the audience would like to share any information, ask the last questions to Yuri, be more than welcome to do so.
Yes, I'm very sorry I came in late, but I'd be interested in knowing which software do you recommend, like for 3D rendering?
Thanks for the question. Martin, I don't know if you want to answer that one because you're the brains behind this, but
hello, can you hear me?
yes, we can hear you.
Well, in the case of the software, well, I'm going to answer this on and at the same time answer the question before of the challenges. There is one challenge, and it's when you 3D model an aircraft or an object, and there's two options to use software that it's CAD. It uses NURBS kind of modeling, or mesh software. And mesh software is usually the one that we use for gaming, for movies, and that kind of projects. And CAD software, like the ones we use for 3D modeling products. In this case, we use the Rhinoceros. So to transfer the file to export it and import it into Unreal Engine, there's a few steps you have to do that it might take some time to get used to it, but the workflow is getting much better these days. So for the software to recommend, in my case, Rhino is one of the easiest ones to learn. But if you want to make a better, like a real product in the future or something like that, maybe SolidWorks. But there's too many. If you want to get into movies or gaming, maybe Blender. And there's Blender is completely free and open source. I think that's there's a lot of softwares that you can use, but that's my answer in this case. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Okay, so we are reaching the end of this presentation. I really encourage everyone to continue connected through Yuri, with Yuri through the email and with Martin and all the team. It was a pleasure to be here with you today, and I encourage you to continue participating in some of the workshops that we have at the moment. And I'd like to just share the last link so you still connected with on the Fab City Summit. And I wish you all of you a great day. And thank you very much, Yuri, for